I'm Mélanie Tarlant. I'm the 12th generation of the Tarlant champagne grower, working actually with my brother, Benoit. And we are so in Champagne, in the Marne Valley, in a village called Vallée, where there is the river Marne, vineyards on the hillside with a mosaic of subsoils, and history that dates back to 3 centuries, always one generation following another one. And when we started with Benoit, we were 4 generations working together for 10 years. And so I have the story of my family worked from, yes, many generations as something real. We were already well known, I will say, for sure, like with medals and things like this for our terroir wines for more than a century. We are a family that are a grower in the way that we are not buying grapes, truly independent. The way to be independent is really part of the history of my family, and so of our land and what we are doing. Because we were one of the first growers to start to make our own champagne. So because we made still wine, what is called today Coteau Champenois, red and white, and making bubbles, starting 5 generations before me, which was really rare at that time. Most of the growers have like 2 generations, 3 generations maximum. So voila, I'm very engaged. I believe in Champagne by being first a wine region, not only the Champagne region, but a wine region. And I believe into the grower system or grower idea of Champagne, which means it's possible to make everything from the beginning to the end. So this is the story where I'm coming from and where I am today. We are farming actually 15 hectares in 4 villages, and they are divided in 60 plots more, but more or less we are there. Farming 7 grapes of Champagne, so which means also the all grapes varieties. From a side, the Fromenteau, which is like a Pinot Gris, but early ripeness. And from the other side, Petit Méliès, Arban, and Pinot Blanc, which are later ripeness. And the 3, what we call classic in Champagne, Chardonnay, Meunier, Pinot Noir, are quite in the middle for the ripeness. Being in the Marne Valley means that we are very proud to have Meunier and to keep it alive, resisting in front of the idea of being not adapted to global warming, for example. And so we are farming them organically as a certification, but the certification is not the idea of explaining what we are doing. We are artisans, we are viticulture, so every harvest we have to face what is happening on the moment. So for example, this year, 2026, start with a lot of frost. And also with Mange Bourgeon, we see more Mange Bourgeon. We have to face that with the global warming or change climate. We have warmer temperature, but also more rain. So we are used to rain, but not that often, or not with so many storms, for example. So when we started with Benoit, my parents were already working. They were like trying to expand in Champagne the idea that every vineyard should have grass, natural grass in the middle, because there is erosion, because we should have a balance for having roots that goes deeper. If you go deeper with your roots, in the 90s, the idea was for them still, I mean, it was difficult, no? And still today in 2026, it's still difficult to make people understand that. Voilà, sadly, but okay. So when we started with my brother, we were looking at having some biodynamic information and practice, friends, like other wineries, because that was an interest for us. And at the same time, we started to go to the organic, but we were interested to biodynamic. This is how slowly we were looking at the different plants that we have around, and being close to a river. For example, we have easily the prel, don't know the name. Voilà, horsetail, exact. So that we are using like an eastern period, this period of spring, for example. So we find slowly, and having the forest at the top of our village, we find the plants, not all of them, but most of them also, in order to learn how to make the preparation, to make different fermentation, to be independent in an entire way, and to discover also the plants, because it was not a knowledge from our parents. And following this, we saw and taste our wines being on a line with more and more, a line more precise, as well as changing a press, and it's a mix of decision. And then we faced, I would say we started 2000 or end of the 90s, beginning of 2000. So we face difficult year, but not as much as later, a decade after. And from 2010 till now, we are really more focused on how we manage warmer temperature, how we manage storms, how we manage hard impact at once. And this is why we started, one of the first in the Champagne region, to seed different plants in the middle of our vines. So Champagne has a high density plantation, so it's not as easy as when you have large vines. So the way we have to seed is very precise, as we know to do it in Champagne. We like the rigor, but still it was a practice, and also to learn which one will not be too much environment and what is the impact also. So then we roll them to have a carpet of straw. So it helps us, because then we have, when it is raining a lot, it keeps better the rain in the underground. Of course, there is a diversity of microorganisms. So the balance, we are sure it is helping for a future. And then when we have the carpet of straw, it helps, because when we have too hot temperature, even if we are north of France, it has an impact, and so it stays more stable, so the demineralization is still happening. And then we have always, we keep the line in our wine, even with a warmer vintage. And voila, and then I started to have geese as also an expression of taking back the animals in a everyday life of a grower, which was the case before my grandparents. And geese was interesting because it is eating like half a sheep, and then it's a domestic. They are domestic, and finally I'm falling in love with the geese. So, which is much more appreciate that it's not just a tool for your vineyards. It's really human interaction. So for all the people of the team, and also for the people of the village, it is not really helping for a future, but it is helping now for, it's like doing a better entire life, I will say, for the domain. I decided to choose geese just because I had in mind, when I was a kid, comic of Bécassine with a French old from Britain that has a goose, and I don't know, I have that in mind as a small kid, and I didn't find a lot of information about geese in the vineyard, but the few I found was about they are independent. They can, if they learn, they can go in one place and come back on their own. So there is an interaction. So this is also what was interest for me. And then, yes, I was just, we have less and less geese actually, because we are not using them anymore for their les plumes. And all the modern life doesn't care about geese. They feel that they are dangerous, they can beat you. And so I'm thinking, if the people are thinking this way, it's probably something that I should learn. And so this is how it started. And slowly now they are, yes, they are not eating all the same plants. So it's interesting because they choose the different herbs. And then, as I was saying, yes, it's an entire life now with the domain, the estate. The winemaking philosophy is simple as our grandparents teach us, in the way that we learn as if we had no enology. We really learn like our grandparents did, and so we do a careful press. We have the chance to be in a village that we can do now by gravity, but then the first fermentation is always done spontaneously. We are now choosing to make it only in wood or clay, so small barrels or tiny amphoras or a little bit bigger amphora, but still to keep all of the fermentation spontaneous. We prefer the small content. It adapts well to every fermentation. So we follow the fermentation. We are not interventionist in some parts. Then we do some bâtonnage some years. We do the houillage differently depending on the vines, but every plot is pressed separately, is doing his vinification separately, and has his own identity until the bottling. And this is very important for us, that all the 60 different plots have their own life. We love to make them breath, so we love that wood or clay, because we believe the wine is going with the time, and we are not using dosage sugar at the end of the process of champagne, and we are using time as dosage. So to make them breath from the origin, make them being alive for a long time if they have this chance. Then the idea is to have a brut nature champagne. So when we decide the bottling, we always think about a balance on its own without a possibility to add sugar at the end. So it means we are taking all the barrels together to build something that is already having its own character. So after 6-7 months of first fermentation, sometimes it can spend 1 year more, depending on the grapes, because like the Arban, Petit Méliès, they have the pH is low and the fermentation can take longer, for example. But otherwise it's a spring bottling. And then the idea is to keep the wine for the second fermentation the time it is needed before to be disgorged. So we are not using the sales idea to make it disgorged and ready for the people. We are really using the time of the wine, and when it doesn't need sugar, then it's gonna be ready for the people. This is the idea. Simple. What I like in a wine is to imagine the place where it comes from. I really, maybe because I'm coming from an old region of growing grapes and winemaking, but yes, I really prefer when the wine, you feel the viticulture, you feel the place. Even if sometimes you have idea about how a wine should taste from this place. So it's not that I'm looking for a taste, but when it has a deeper perspective of a strong identity that is not the grapes identity. When you are not sure to find the grapes actually, but you feel an atmosphere that shows really where it's come from, the work done in the viticulture. Because for me, the viticulture is really the truth.